Good morning and welcome to the Mayor's Weekly. We've been away for a few weeks due to our producer working through some health issues, so we're pleased to be back with you today, and hopefully we can be consistent going forward, but things that are beyond our control. Joining me this morning is, everybody knows, Kathy Chambless, a longtime city clerk, chief financial officer of the city, and we personally, I don't do Facebook, but we do pay attention to our city's Facebook page, and from time to time things will pop up that we think maybe needs to be addressed, maybe bring clarity to a situation, or maybe create a better understanding of what's going on. And such a situation happened week before last when we posted on our city Facebook page that the city had put into service a new garbage truck, a little over $400,000. Is that right, Kathy?
Yes, sir.
And the comments that came in caught my attention, and I said, talked to Kathy, and I said, let's talk about solid waste, the accounting, and we'll get into that in just a minute. But one of the first comments, and we run into this quite often, and people have reason to believe that the city of Jasper owns the school system, which we don't. The city of Jasper owns Jasper Water Works and Sewer Board. One of the comments was maybe the city will buy a state-of-the-art water purification system. Well, we don't own, control any part of Jasper Water Works and Sewer Board. Kathy, I've never known the city of Jasper to process water in any form or fashion. Have you?
No, sir.
So that's not us. And the folks at Jasper Water Works and Sewer Board are good people. I didn't like the taste of the water, but critiquing the city for that misses the target, because we don't control that. Another thing, putting this garbage truck into service has nothing whatsoever to do with the planned closing of Bryan Landfill. We're developing a plan for how we'll manage solid waste in this city. That's underway at the moment, and we'll talk about that plan right here on Mayor's Weekly when it's finalized. One writer offered some very, very good advice, and that is, if you want a better understanding of how things work in the city, or if you have a particular question, attend council meetings. Council meetings it's a public meeting. We meet in the council chamber at City Hall. Kathy, there's always a time at the end of the council meeting. There's a limitation. You can't come and talk for an hour, where you can ask questions, share opinions, that sort of thing. A great place to learn if you have questions. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And so I thought that was good. That particular writer thought, in reasonable thinking, that maybe this garbage truck was bought with grant funds, which we know that's not the case, and you'll talk about that in just a minute. And then another writer set out to talk about the accounting of revenues and how a solid waste department operates under the umbrella of municipal government. And that's what I want Kathy to talk about this morning. I've said this many times, and I'll say it more times. I always, when somebody's talking to me, I like to think that know that they're qualified when they're telling me something. Kathy has a long tenure here at the city of Jasper. Kathy is a certified public accountant. Again, a certified public accountant, qualified to do audits, does all of the accounting here in the city. She's also a master municipal clerk, and probably understands more about municipal government than maybe anybody in this state, and I don't say that lightly. It's true. But Kathy, here's what you and I talked a little bit about. What we're going to talk about today, preceding coming here. This particular writer said that we bought equipment in a solid waste environment in municipal government. You bought it with profits. And Kathy, if you would talk a little bit about, of course, the word profit, I've learned means a lot of different things, means different things to different people, and it can get real interesting, but and we won't, you and I share the same ideas of what profit is, but Kathy, let's talk about that and see if we can bring some clarity to that.
Okay, well, first of all, Mayor, this particular garbage truck, I wished we could have bought the garbage truck with profit.
Yeah.
Our particular situation with our garbage fund, it currently has, we're operating at a deficit position of around.
Now let's, just for simplicity, that translates to a loss. Is that right?
It does.
Yeah.
It does, and you know, in government accounting, we call it different things than what it would be called.
But for the layman, a deficit's a loss.
It's a loss, and you know, in our 2022 audit, which is, we're working on 2023, but in 2022, the number that is that deficit was 860,000.
860. So that, based on what this writer wrote, shared with us, we couldn't have bought a garbage truck with that loss, could we?
No, sir. And you know how we did buy the garbage truck, so that you know it's very clear. We used cash, but it came from the general fund. So
now, again, excuse me for interrupting. No. You've got solid waste here, which belongs to the city, but from an accounting standpoint, separate and apart. So you reached over here, and the city general fund is managed in a different way under a different set of rules than solid waste.
It is the general fund. We don't attempt to make a profit because it's not that type of a activity, but we do in the garbage fund. We're not really trying to make a profit in the garbage fund. We're trying to break even.
Yeah.
Which is, under state law, for garbage operation, the goal is to really just break even and not make a profit on collecting garbage from your residents. But it's treated more like a business that would be operated for profit. But you know, Mayor, we could have gone to the bank and borrowed the money, obviously, but we felt like interest rates are high, as everyone knows right now, and the best use of the funds was to go ahead and borrow some money from the general fund.
Okay. Now, Kathy, you're looking at that audited financial statement. We get one every year.
Yes, sir.
And anybody would like to look at a copy of that, we have them available, don't we?
Yes, sir.
So, pre-garbage truck that we're talking about, you had a balance sheet that said we own certain things and we have certain debts or liabilities, wouldn't you? Now, when the general fund puts this money over into solid waste, their liabilities go up?
Their liabilities will go up because it owes money back to the general fund.
And the prospects of getting that back will come only if the solid waste can operate at a surplus.
Enough years to pay back that loan.
And that, as we know now, that as we know it and we don't know it, that could be out to Methuselah, right?
Well, it could, and I hope not. because that's not what we want. And obviously, we're doing some things now as we're working on getting a new software in place that will begin to match garbage accounts and garbage cans,
Right.
so that when an account gets delinquent, the services for their garbage will be suspended. And so hopefully some better methods of getting the funds into the city will keep your garbage rates lower, and we can begin to get to closer to breaking even.
Now, Kathy, I'll take a little risk here, and you correct me, and I won't be offended. But I don't like high garbage fees.
No.
And they're probably gonna get higher based on what we know in the future. But in fiscal year 2022, we operated at an $800,000 deficit.
Well, it's accumulated to an $800,000
Okay.
deficit. In 2023, we actually operated at a deficit of 200,000.
200,000, okay. Let's use that number then.
Right.
What that means is myself and everybody else that has garbage pickup in the city was subsidized to some degree by the general fund of the city.
Had to be, or we would have had to borrow some money
Well,
to
that,
met our debt.
you know, for us to, everybody would have needed to pay a little more, so
True.
everybody got subsidized.
That is true.
Is that true?
It is.
Good. So, you know, that's a lot of information, but we just felt like we need to bring clarity to that. We don't buy equipment with profits because profits or surplus have been non-existent. We bought that with funds that have accumulated through the wise management of money in the general fund tax receipt. Absent us having that surplus, Kathy, as you mentioned, we would have had to go to the bank and pledge the full faith and credit of the city against a loan. You can't take public assets as collateral at the bank. You take the full faith and credit of the city at the bank and borrow that money, and then if we continue to operate at a deficit, the city would have to step in and subsidize solid waste.
Yes, sir, as it has.
That's the way it works?
Yes, sir.
I thought I had that right. But, you know, well, I said, when we see things like this that we feel like need some attention, and not that anybody's doing wrong, but just a lack of understanding, but we felt like that we need to touch on these things, try to bring some clarity to it, and as the gentleman that wrote, come to our council meetings. We'll answer your question. Write to us. Come see us, and we'll answer whatever questions you may have. But it just didn't feel like that we could let what appeared to be a lack of understanding, and not being critical of anybody, of how solid waste works on the financial side, that we ought to give that some attention this morning. So hopefully what we shared with you makes sense. If not, please let us hear from you. And again, we're glad to be back with you, and look forward to being back on a regular basis. And let us hear from you. Write us, call us, whatever, and we'll be busy getting you an answer. We look forward to seeing you next week.